Okay.
2 weeks and that's how we're starting, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome.
Welcome back to A24 Quest. As you may have noticed, there hasn't been one for the last 2 weeks because Josh has been horribly ill. What is it that you had? An infection of some sort?
It was a sinus infection that wasn't treated because they thought it was a cold, and then they thought it was the flu, and then I finally went into another doctor, and they said, oh no, you have a horrible sinus infection and need to be treated immediately.
Yeah.
And so they gave me hardcore medication.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a very fun time.
No. It wasn't.
See, what happened, this is very reminiscent of the time I got pneumonia, which was also awful. Luckily enough, the first doctor I went to saw it was pneumonia. I think because I was like, do I have pneumonia? And they're like, it's highly unlikely, a person of your age. And then they conducted the thing and they're like, you have pneumonia.
No, I walked in and I said, I think I have a sinus infection.
Oh, really?
And she's like, no, you have a cold.
That's
I'm
terrible.
like, are you kidding me? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never had a cold like this. I've never literally almost fallen over due to being dizzy due to a cold.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. Not for me, at least. But no, it was a whole lot of nonsense. But now I'm kicking it back with some hardcore antibiotics.
Nice.
My voice is that nice deep rumble.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like your voice dropped again. You have a noticeably deeper voice this time around.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're, anyway, small talk accomplished. We're back after 2 weeks, and we're talking about two A24 movies. They are Laggies and Room.
Laggies.
And this morning, for the life of me, I couldn't remember what the one other than Room was, and then I was like, oh, right, it's Laggies.
Yep.
And the reason for that is, Laggies is like The Captive in romantic comedy form.
You know,
so you want to start with the Laggies?
I do.
Okay.
I think it's really funny because I saw how you rated Laggies, and it's not nearly as low as I thought you would have rated it.
I have to be fair. It's like similar to The Captive. I have to be fair. It's not like the filmmaker kind of know what they're doing. You know?
This made more sense than The Captive.
It made more sense than The Captive. I was like, I get it. With The Captive, I was like, why did they feel the need to make this film? It's so awful. But with this, I was like, I get the appeal. I get what they're going for. Fine. However, that doesn't change the fact that this is one of the most boring romantic comedies I have ever seen. Because every single little element it felt like it's been done much better 100 times before. Yeah. Everything's super just like forced in and unnecessary. Well, entirely necessary because if you take all of it out, you don't have a movie. It checks all the boxes for like a standard romantic comedy. It has kind of an interesting premise going into like the second act. I was like, is this getting like interesting? Is it going to be like, isn't it going to do something like interesting with the premise? And then it doesn't. It has this really stupid, annoying first act that is just the worst. And then it changes and the story takes a shift and it's like almost interesting, but then the third act is just this generic romantic crap, you know?
Yeah, no, it's very stereotypical. It follows all the rules with that little bit of twist in the second act, and it just ends up being not very interesting. I could have predicted the entire movie by about 20 minutes in. So
right, yeah,
it got old.
And I don't particularly like Keira Knightley in this movie. She's just
bad.
not likable.
She was bad.
I don't want to be offensive or edgy, but like she constantly gave me this vibe of like there's something wrong with her.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, but she plays this intensely like. You know,
it's super so childish, bad. Super like arrogant and immature kind of character.
Well, okay, so the entire premise is that she doesn't know what to do with her life. She has been stuck in this role in this group of friends forever, and now finally her boyfriend from high school has proposed to her, and she runs away, procrastinates, and doesn't accept any outside help at all from anybody she knows.
Right.
So that she can live her life the way she wants, procrastinating and not doing anything like that. Well, she's the most white girl you know.
Yeah.
Who decides that, drinking and avoiding her problems is better.
Yeah. And it works out for her in the end.
Yeah. And which is even better, right?
The thing with I don't have a problem with the movie's message. It's trying to, I get it. It's kind of insulting, but I have no problems with it.
So stupid.
What I have a problem with is the fact that when I said something like kind of interesting happened was it's like so in the most unrealistic plot of all time,
yes,
she boards up with this literal high school like really young high school girl,
17,
16-ish. And starts living with her.
And she's like 25 or something.
And she doesn't know this girl. She just found this girl on the street, and then she
bought her alcohol.
Bought her alcohol, and then starts living with her.
Oh.
And literally, Sam Rockwell is the girl's. Sam Rockwell, by the way, was like the only okay part of the movie. Like his character was.
I mean,
fine.
He was hardly in it.
But like Sam Rockwell is a charismatic and likable actor. He
was decent. Yeah.
So he was okay in this movie. And Sam Rockwell, and he's like the only voice of reason in the movie. Like he sits like Keira Knightley down, and he's like, mind explaining to me why you're staying with my 16-year-old daughter, you like fully grown stranger. and it's like, okay, at least the movie's a little self-aware. And that's where it started taking an interesting turn, because I was like, this could be a really weird and interesting relationship these two build, because it's like it's such an unusual scenario, but then it just gets generic and pointless.
Yeah, I really like the part where Sam Rockwell is like, so you like my daughter, you like hanging out with her, you're her friend. Now I'm going to have sex with you.
Yeah, it's super weird, and
she's like, all right.
Yeah. And then like in the oddest and like least likable move the movie could have made, she actually goes. You think like obviously she's gonna end up with Sam Rockwell, and I'm just gonna spoil that. Obviously she's gonna end up with Sam Rockwell and not her weird and her husband's super unlikable.
Well, yeah, because he's kind of the same way.
Yeah, he's exactly the
He's like the guy who would sleep on your couch for a few weeks.
Yeah, right. He's just this kind of like hippy-dippy, like just new wave weirdo.
I know my spirit animal.
Yeah,
it's a shark.
Exactly. And I was like, so she's not going to end up with him. She's going to end up with Sam Rockwell. But the movie spends like a good 20 minutes trying to convince you that she's actually going to end up with him. And I was like, and she's like fully on board with him. Like it doesn't even really show her given any doubts. She's like with him after all this like shenanigans, and she's like happy to be with him. And I was like, this is weird. Like, are they gonna like obviously like they can't have her end up with him? And I even said, I was like, are they gonna like go this route with it? And of course they didn't.
Well, and it's so stupid because it's like, okay, so if she ended up doing this, he would find out eventually. Because she was caught by another friend. Yeah. This isn't a small ordeal. Mm-hmm. It was just dumb. Yeah. Nothing would have made sense. And then after she abandoned Sam, because I don't know the actual character's name, she goes back to her old boyfriend. They're gonna go to fly to Las Vegas, and then when they're almost on the plane, she's like, "Oh wait, no." Yeah. And then she goes back to Sam Rockwell. Well, she goes to prom and then goes there, gives him a box of wine, says, "Hey, would you forgive me?" And
she does the
oh my god!
She leaves the note on the ground,
yes,
like the most cliched thing imaginable. He opens the door. I don't know if this was intentionally trying to be stupid. I think maybe it was. He opens the door. He sees the "Would you forgive me? Yes, no" note on the ground. He looks up and she's like hiding in the bushes and like peeking around the corner and like so clearly visible. I was like, that's funny, but like, were they trying to make it funny? I don't know. Like, maybe, was that the point? It kind of
No,
felt
I
like
don't-
it was trying to be, like, heartfelt and not,
I don't
and not
think it was
stupid.
supposed to be stupid or funny.
It's like, I laughed out loud. I was like, come on.
It was
If you
just
told
bad.
me that's how this movie was gonna end, I would have laughed in your face because I'd be like, this is bad, but it's not that bad, right?
Yeah, and then he just shuts the door in her face, and that's pretty funny.
So ultimately, this movie, every single part of it is like technically competent. I mean, the shot cinematography is fine. That's every single bad A24 movie except for The Captive, where it's like everything about it is and Tusk.
What? You didn't like Tusk? Hold up.
Not exactly.
Hold up. You didn't like Tusk?
Yeah, right. Literally, like the bling ring.
I broke him.
The bling ring. Everything's fine. The shot composition's fine. The acting's not fine, but the writing's like okay. It's fine, but it's just boring and pointless. That's like A24 at its worst. A movie like Tusk is bad in kind of an interesting way because it's like it's such a bad concept, and they were so delusional that they decided to go ahead and make it.
And so much ridiculous filler.
Yeah, right. And they're like, they didn't know how to make the concept work, so they just didn't make the concept work. They just made the stupidest thing imaginable.
Yeah, I mean,
But that's not A24 at its worst. Like those movies are interestingly bad. This is A24 at its worst. This is A24 at its most boring, most lazy, most pointless. It's just trying to masquerade as a real movie by copying everything and like having every cliche in the book, and it's stupid and terrible. And as I'm talking about it and getting myself worked up about it, I'm gonna place it lower on the list. I think I don't remember where I'm actually ranking these on a list on Letterboxd now.
I like this more than Bling Ring.
More than Bling Ring.
I'd rather watch this again than the Bling Ring.
It's really tough. I would rather not watch. Honestly, I think I would rather watch Bling Ring.
Really?
Because I'll tell you why. Bling Ring. And I don't even think I mentioned this when we talk about Bling Ring. Bling Ring has one good shot in it. It's a long shot of a house, and it's a long take from a ways away of the kids breaking into the house. Since it's like a house with a lot of like glass
and they go through
and you
it.
see them going through the entire house,
Yeah.
and then like see them leaving in one long shot. That was good. I was like, this is a fun shot. I like it. So it has one good thing about it.
So that makes it worth it.
Yeah, because I mean, there's nothing I liked about Laggies. It's like The Captive, but in romantic comedy form, like I said.
Yeah, no.
Romantic comedy. It wasn't even funny.
No.
Did you laugh at all in that movie?
No.
It was just pathetic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that about wraps it up. Unless you have anything that I didn't cover.
Not on Leggies.
I'll let you talk about Room, because as we discussed, I don't have a whole lot to say about it.
All right. Room. It's a movie with Brie Larson.
Yeah.
She's phenomenal in it. Actually,
Oh, yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed her performance. It is about this, what is it, 5-year-old boy who's raised in a shed.
The first time I watched the movie, I didn't realize it was a boy for a while.
Understandably, he has really long hair.
Yeah. And then when he first what is your policy on spoilers for this movie? It's 3 years old.
We can spoil. Sure.
Okay. When they get out of Room,
And
everybody
that's only
calls him a
halfway
girl.
through.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Half of this movie takes place within the room itself, and then the other half is actually them outside and dealing with the world as soon as they get out.
Question. In the movie itself, every time they talked about the room, they didn't call it the room. They just called it room because room is a place. Is that a stylistic choice?
I think so.
Or is it them attempting to distance themselves from Tommy Wiseau?
I think it's a stylistic choice.
Okay, no, I agree with you, but this movie's... Okay, everybody knows about The Room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody knows how awful it is. Do you think that they just didn't want to, under any circumstance, say the term The Room?
No.
Okay.
Because I don't think they would have called it Room if they were truly worried about that.
Okay, fair enough.
I think they would have changed the name if that's the main
Bunker.
concern. Yeah, it's something ridiculous.
Shed. Place, yeah. That's true. I guess I could see it.
So I think that's the main reason. Or Home, which I keep getting confused with.
Right.
I don't know why I keep calling this movie Home.
Isn't Home that like animated movie with the aliens that you didn't really like?
It was bad.
Okay. How does it compare to Hugo?
I really liked Room. Brie Larson was fantastic. Anyway, the idea is that Brie Larson was kidnapped at the age of 17 by this man who lured her into a van due to wanting to help his fake sick dog. Was taken, put into his backyard shed, which has locks and heavy-duty walls.
Yeah.
Combination lock door, and she is trapped there and is raped repeatedly and eventually conceives of a child after 2 years. She then proceeds to raise this kid. After 5 years, she finally attempts to escape with him.
Yeah.
By pretending he's dead, rolling him in a rug, and then sending him out into the world, hoping he can unwrap himself, jump out of the truck he's in, and then go get help, which he miraculously does.
Yeah. And you know what? The first half of this movie is such a fantastic concept, and I love it a lot. However, there is also a second half of the movie, which, in my opinion, is significantly less interesting.
I would disagree, actually.
Okay.
As far as it goes, the first half really has this amazing rise and climax and an amazing payoff.
Right.
He gets out, he finds somebody, they help him. The guy who's kidnapped him is running away because he's been, essentially found out. Mm-hmm. The police get involved, the police find out where he lives, they release his mom, and they get back together. And that would have been a fantastic ending for a pretty decent movie that would have been about an hour long.
Right. What I said about this movie when I wrote my little blurb about it, when I ranked it, is it would, in my opinion, and this is what we can discuss about it, is I think it would have worked better as a short film that ended like that ended during the second act climax,
Mm-hmm.
Ended right after that and left everything else up to the imagination, like ambiguous ending.
See, I think there would have been an issue because my biggest, hurrah for this movie is the acting, and the acting really doesn't take off until that second act.
That's true. I guess it does introduce some like complications and like character drama, which is nice.
Which you don't really have a whole lot of in the first act,
right,
except for a little bit between what they call Ma, which is Brie Larson, and what's his name? Jack.
Jack.
Yes, Jack.
Because the movie starts as like a very interesting kind of like escape movie,
mm-hmm.
and it closes off as a somewhat interesting character drama featuring William H. Macy, and
very small part from William H. Macy.
But I always notice William H. Macy in a movie.
Of course you do. He's an interesting looking guy.
Yeah, he is I love that guy, honestly. You've seen Fargo, right? Or not?
No, I have not.
You
seen
need
Fargo.
to see Fargo if you want to fully appreciate William H. Macy.
He's in that show Shameless.
Yeah, he is. I keep meaning to check that show out. I hear it's pretty decent.
I do too. That'll have to go to in our TV segment sometime.
Yeah, sure. But anyway,
I honestly, William H. Macy does have one of the better parts in this movie, though, even if it is so small.
Yeah.
He's at the dinner table and he doesn't fully accept Jack as his grandson.
Right.
And that was an incredible part of this movie, along with the first time Jack says, "I love you, Grandma."
Yeah.
To his grandmother. That was awesome.
Yeah. See, you know what's wonderful about this movie, and I liked this even in the second half. I mean, I liked this movie a lot. My favorite thing about it is there's some very disturbing themes and concepts in the movie, but the movie displays them in kind of like this childlike, innocent kind of way
through the eyes of
Jack. Because it's like you understand that like The movie never explicitly says that that Brie Larson's character was, raped, but you understand that she entered room and then had a baby. So
After
it's like
2 years.
Yeah, so it's like obviously. But like Jack doesn't understand that. Mm-hmm. Everybody else understands that, but the movie never mentions it because the audience sees the movie through the eyes of Jack,
Mm-hmm.
And that's an interesting idea. And it's like there's so much, like there's some really heavy topics even in the second half that like Jack just doesn't get, and he's like optimistic where everybody else is like hopeless.
Yeah. This movie brought, it's a tearjerker. I had moments where my throat was closing up and tears are welling in my eyes, a few times.
For me, it was the ending got me.
Yeah.
It was super emotional.
Yeah.
And in a kind of almost a good way, kind of a bittersweet way.
Yes, very bittersweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. This is definitely one of those movies that kind of crushed me a little bit. I wasn't entirely happy about the feelings I had, but I'm glad I saw it.
Right.
It's it reminds me a lot of A Boy Called It, as I mentioned 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried that's what this was going to be like, and it had a lot of themes. It wasn't quite as horrendous as that, but it had a lot of same themes going,
Right.
and that's still that's rough.
Well, it's just like it's like I said, the redeeming factor of this movie is it talks about such awful subject matter with that like innocence and like hope and optimism.
Yeah,
like that's what's nice about it. It's because it's like in the end, Jack is just this kid. He's just trying to make the best of his world, the world around him, and it's a good movie. It's a great concept. I don't think I connected with this movie that much, and I was a little, I didn't enjoy the second half as much as the first half, but I can understand why everybody loves it, and objectively, it's a great movie.
and it actually won an Oscar.
It did.
Best Leading Actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be interesting if they gave one to like Jack. I don't even know if he's like it's possible to do that, right?
I don't know.
Jack did a pretty good, like the kid that
did.
played Jack did a pretty decent job.
Yeah.
I was like, clearly he's so young that it's like he understands that he's acting, but it's like it feels real.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah.
I give all the props to Brie Larson though. She really blew this picture away as far as acting goes.
Yeah, she was very good.
And
her character it's an interesting character because it's not even the most like you are totally rooting for a character, but then there's like questions are brought up about like her character later on, and you like start to question like, did she do the best thing she could for Jack? And it's just like, were her motivations selfish? And it's like,
well, and obviously those took a toll on her.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, it's she's not a very cut and dry character. She's a very nuanced character.
Yeah, she did a really great job. She felt real, like an actual person.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like Brie Larson acting. It felt like that's somebody who's been through some real tough shit.
Yeah.
So I was very impressed.
Yeah, me too. So I think on the topic of Laggies versus The Room, it's pretty obvious which
I don't know.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, The Room. Not The Room. Room. You know what we should have done? We should have paired Room with Disaster Artist.
That would have been so bad.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been an awful episode trying to differentiate between the two.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, in the end, Room is the clear winner here. I never want to watch Laggies again. And I suppose it's my turn to pick, right?
Yeah, we got Revenge of the Green Dragon.
Oh, that's next, huh? Okay.
Which is like an action drama kung fu movie.
Yeah, kung fu movie.
And something else, depending on what you want.
Okay, well, I'm going to look at our list here. Question, email us if you think it's a good idea for me to keep doing this thing where I figure out the movie as we're recording, or if you think I should figure it out beforehand.
I mean, my vote would be figuring it out beforehand, but that's just me.
Yeah. Okay, so you know what I'm gonna say?
What are you gonna say?
If you're down to you and I watch a movie together this week, it has nothing to do with Revenge of the Green Dragon, so I can't like theme it. But you want to watch Moonlight
Yeah,
for
we can
next
do that.
week? Because yeah, you do have a copy of Moonlight.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, let's pick Moonlight because I am all about that Oscar buzz because the Oscars just happened. So Moonlight was Best Picture last year. Time to rewatch it. That's about it. Oh yeah, I do actually want to briefly mention like an upcoming A24 movie that's not out yet that I'm kind of interested in. Kind of. I mean,
Kind of.
granted, I don't like teen movies. You know this about me. But there's a movie called Eighth Grade coming out. I'm hearing some decent buzz about it.
I've heard.
It's written and directed by Bo Burnham. That's an interesting choice.
interesting.
So, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that one.
I'm excited for, not that it's coming out, but that it's already came out, is The Ballad of Lefty Brown.
Oh, yeah, A24 Western.
Yeah, that'll be really fun to take a look.
Oh, also, mega... Excuse me.
Oh, my.
Mega excited for, like, so excited you have no idea for Hereditary. Have you heard or seen anything about Hereditary?
Hereditary. I've heard of it.
Watch the trailer. I am super pumped for it. It's a horror movie, and it looks just, like, terrifying.
Good.
So I'm really looking forward to that one. I think we're going to, like... I'm going to have to, like... If it comes out... Whenever it comes out, that was like I'm going to have to override that week and just say we're making Hereditary one of our movies. Because it looks so great.
Yeah.
It releases June 8th. So.
That'll be fun. And if it's in theaters, maybe we can squeeze it into a theater viewing.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
We would probably have to go to a smaller theater, but I like doing that anyway.
Yeah,
so
that'd be cool.
Like a indie theater.
That's really what we should have done. We should have gotten Killing of a Sacred Deer out of the way when we saw it.
Yeah, right. But well, that's kind of before we did A24 Quest.
It is, yeah. I think it is a little bit.
Yeah. So that's actually kind of what inspired A24 Quest, I think, because we watched that and we had a fun time talking about it.
And we had already talked about watching all of them, and that was the plan, and we just decided to incorporate it.
Yeah, exactly.
Into podcast form.
Talk about an A24 movie coming soon that I'm not looking forward to. When I saw what was it? When I saw Three Billboards, I got a trailer for Lean on Pete, which is a A24 movie, and I'm super uninterested in it. I know we're gonna watch it eventually. It's about a boy and his horse. So
it's about a boy and his
anyway,
horse.
that's about all I have to talk about.
We still have to watch Lady Bird again.
Do we though?
We do, because I still haven't seen it.
It's no big secret that I don't like that movie very much, and you should know why by this point. All right. Okay. We're rounding up to almost 30 minutes. I think we're gonna head on out to record the actual podcast, which is gonna be an interesting one this week because we've been gone for so long. As Chris Cornell has said, we've been away for too long. See you later on the next episode.
Okay, bye.
That was not a good outro.
That was an awful outro.